Hi, and welcome to my second monthly Q&A. Type 1 Eagle asks, apparently Teen Titans Go to the Movies is doing pretty well and has a fresh score on Rotten Tomatoes. What are your thoughts on that? Personally, I don't really have anything against Teen Titans Go other than the fact that Cartoon Network seems to prioritize it so heavily. If the movie turns out to be good, then hey, I'm glad there's another good movie in the world. Although I'm not glad that would give Cartoon Network an excuse to focus even more on Teen Titans Go. Ethan asks, what other maps did you have in Mapstravaganza? For those who don't know, back in the day I had 3 maps featured on Rage and Hollow's Minecraft show, Minecraft Mapstravaganza. I quite like Minecraft, and that's just a fact you're going to have to learn to live with. The first map I got on is by far my favourite, and I've already talked about that one in Cinema Sins Part 2, the re-sinning. The second one was a parkour map, which had to, what was at me at least, a unique twist, in that you had to do it backwards, with your third-person rear-view camera enabled so that you could actually see where you were going. They definitely seemed to enjoy it, but also at the same time they definitely seemed to hate it, which I think is the reaction I was going for. A mix of enjoyment, but also disgust.
This is so stupid.
I think it's really good.
No, it is. It's good. It's just, why?
It's
just sadist.
so evil.
Sadist on our hands.
For the third one, I really expanded on that concept, made it into a proper map that was actually nicely designed and looked good, at least in my opinion, and it seemed to go down really well, even if Rage didn't quite get the third-person perspective right. Damn it, Rage! Face the other way! The other way! Ah, fuck it. Let's go look at some questions from Twitter. Turretbot asks, why mint green? That's a really good question, and I honestly don't know the answer. I just like having a theme for what I do, and I just sort of chose I just sort of chose a colour and then made all of my channel art in that colour. And yeah, I honestly couldn't tell you why I chose mint green at this point. Slipper asks, do you read comics? No, but I'm interested in starting. Super T asks, insert question here. Yes, please could you actually do that? That would be really helpful. Brandon G asks, butt or boobs? I don't know, man. Just whichever happens to be facing me at the time. This one isn't a question, but I think it's worth addressing. Ryan W says, greetings from Australia. Oh, sorry. Greetings from Australia. I think that you should change your channel name so that it can suit a more diverse range of content. Maybe something like The Anti-Critic? I actually do plan on changing my name quite soon to Sins, just dropping the cinema. That's more of a soft rebrand, and I wouldn't really want to go for a full rebrand because that would worry me. But yeah, I do plan to change my name soon. I don't want to completely sever the connection with Cinema Sins in my name, but I do want to make it less obvious. Especially since some people in the comment section of this video have been accusing me of being a worthless Cinema Sins clone. Like, have you even watched that video? Did you just look at my name and the title of the video and assume that I was a Cinema Sins clone? Because that video has nothing to do with Cinema Sins, nor is it in any way like a Cinema Sins video. Sophie asks, if you had to blow up 5 buildings anywhere in the world and kill everybody inside, what 5 buildings would you choose? No consequences. Well, how can I answer this? There's probably not anyone in the garden shed at my old house at the moment, so I'll blow that up. There was also an abandoned hospital pretty near where I used to live. That's probably not got anyone in it, so I'll blow that up. Also, assuming that only people inside the buildings get injured or killed, I'll blow up the pyramids. Because, oh well, actually, no, they are sort of a historical landmark. I'm just choosing them because they're empty, and there's 3 of them, and that takes me up to 5. I'm struggling to think of 5 empty buildings, but I'll go with 5 empty buildings because I feel like that's a better answer than killing anybody willingly. Oh, look, it's Mola. Mola asks, how do you feel about the state of film criticism on YouTube compared to any time in the past? Have you noticed it becoming better or worse? And have you noticed any patterns in the construction of these videos as time has progressed? Well, YouTube film criticism is a scene that I'm relatively new to. Even back when I first started this channel and I was talking about films on a weekly basis, I wasn't really in the film criticism scene because I was much more focused on the comedy element. And it's since then that I've actually begun to take the actual film criticism element more seriously. But as with most things on the internet these days, in my experience at least, it really depends on where you look. People will always listen to the voice that makes them feel good. For some people, that's a voice that makes them think and reflect about films they've seen. For some people, it's the voice that they can just turn their brain off and listen to in the background. And for some people, it's the voice that will just affirm their own opinions to them the loudest. For me personally, it's people who will point things out to me about films that I've not noticed before, or say things about them that will make me see them in a new light. But YouTube is now such a big platform that there's plenty of space for all of those voices to exist at once. And as long as there's a demand for them and space for them to exist, they will exist. So the one thing I'd really have to say about this scene compared to how it's been in the past is that it's more diverse than ever, and that comes with both its benefits and its drawbacks. Totally Not a Cop asks, what do you think of these boys? I love them. Hugo, I'm not even attempting that last name, asks, in your opinion, what is the best Cinema Sins video? The Deadpool 2 video was really good in my opinion, especially for me as someone who's watched a lot of Cinema Sins videos. You know, what a surprise, Cinema Sins has seen a lot of Cinema Sins videos. And that's just because they made a lot lot of jokes about themselves in it, which I thought were genuinely good jokes. And in your opinion, who's your favourite superhero and or villain? I'm a big Thor fan, especially since, well, I say especially since, basically only since Ragnarok, because that film has done some great things for him as a character, and then his appearance in Infinity War just sort of cemented that, yeah, this is what Thor is like now. As far as villains go, I'm gonna have to bore you with the exact same two answers that everyone seems to give when they're asked that question, which is Thanos and the Joker are two of my favourite villains of all time. They're definitely my favourite comic book movie villains. Clark Freeman asks, what games are you excited for this year? I tend not to be the type of person who plays games when they come out. I'm much more likely to see that something has gone on sale and then think, hey, I've been meaning to play this for like the last 10 years. And I imagine that's probably what I'm going to do with the game that I'm currently most excited to play, which is Cyberpunk 2077. Jordan asks, what's been your favourite Sin video to make? None of them. It's always horrible, and every time I make one, it destroys a small part of my soul. Okay, no, in actuality, generally speaking, the worse the content I'm covering is, the more fun the video will be to make. So Brook Show is always a fun one to do. Also, talking about the CinemaSins videos on the Star Wars prequels was really fun. There was just so much room for jokes in there, and the fact that I'm now done talking about that is kind of sad to me, because I'd just love to talk about them some more. But there's none left to talk about. James asks, what are you studying at uni? I study procrastination. Carlos asks, what was your worst movie theatre experience? I've never really had a bad one. So long as it isn't boring, I pretty much have the capacity to enjoy any film, even if it's terrible. So for me, a bad film doesn't necessarily mean a bad experience. So, as far as bad experiences go, I would have to, like, shit myself in the cinema or something, and I don't think I've ever done that. Zaragoz Rex asks, have you ever felt that one CinemaSin video was too harsh, or not harsh enough? Generally, I won't get that feeling about whole videos, but I will often get that feeling about individual sins or points, especially in regards to more serious political topics. Whenever they come up. Usually when that happens, I'll worry that I'm not coming down on it hard enough, and then simultaneously also worry that I'm being too harsh on it. And I know that doesn't make sense, but it generally is how I feel. What has been the sin in CinemaSins that has been, in your opinion, the most glaringly wrong? Well, I mean, there will often just be sins that are objectively, factually incorrect, and I would say that as being 100% wrong. And you know, obviously you can't go more wrong than that, so any sin that is just factually, fully, it is not debatable, just this is wrong, not true. Any of those are the most glaringly wrong because you cannot be more than that, and there are plenty of them. Okay, and for the rest of the video, I'm going to be answering questions that are more about my process making videos, so if that's not something that interests you, you may as well click away now, I guess. Drew asks, which video are you most proud of? I'm pretty proud of all of the Sin Sunday ones. I plan to make plenty more videos like that in the future, although I do really want to talk about something that isn't Marvel for once. Please do keep sending videos like that for me to respond to my way, by the way, it really helps. Swedish asks, I have a Netflix account and I can be all yours, wink wonk. Just kidding, the real question is how long did it take you to get as good at editing as you are? Ah yes, the question is how long did it take you to get mediocre at video editing? Well, my first attempts at video editing were in 2009 when I was a child, but back then I didn't really edit regularly enough to improve at it. You can see in the first videos I posted as CinemaSins, which were in December of 2016, that I was really bad at editing then. Like, really bad. So I guess the real answer that you're actually looking for is that it took me about 2 years of editing at least once a week to get to the stage I'm currently at. Although videos like this one aren't really the pinnacle of my editing, I think I put my best editing work into the Sin Sunday videos, which I've already mentioned I am very proud of. Shades for Life asks, Jay, I would be happily up for helping with the Justice League Dark Sins video. Just reply to this if you want to work something out. That isn't a question. I don't really plan on making that video anytime soon, but if I change my mind, I'll hit you up. Lord Dark Diamond asks, how long does it usually take you to make a Sin video? This one is quite hard for me to answer because I don't normally just sit down and make a Sin video until it's done. My normal process is to sit down and write a script, then when I'm done with that script, I'll watch the actual movie while referring back to my script to see if I made any mistakes, or to see if I missed anything. Then I'll look through my script again, just thinking critically about everything I said. That last one was a fairly new addition to my process, since I've noticed that I'm still making a few more mistakes than I'd like to be in my videos. I mean, we all make mistakes, but I think I'm making a few too many. I mean, plenty of videos don't seem to have any mistakes in them, but videos like the Jurassic World video has a couple of mistakes in it, so yeah, I've decided to be more meticulous with my process in response to that. That so far will have taken me normally about 3, 4, maybe 5 hours, but that includes watching the movie. Then I go back and try to make the script funnier, add more jokes and stuff like that. Generally speaking, that's my favourite part of the process. That's the part I get most enjoyment out of. Then I start the actual editing, and this is also when I record my voiceovers. I record them as I'm editing, as I need them. That normally takes another hour or two. Then I look over it again with a critical eye, just making sure there are no mistakes, or if there are scenes that are just too long and too boring and don't really add anything to the video. Even if they're accurate, I'll sometimes cut them out, just because I think they lower the pace of the video a bit too much. Speaking of lowering the pace of the video a bit too much, I've been on this question for a while, so I'm going to move on to the next one. Batman asks, what is your process in picking videos to make sins for? Because obviously for a movie you can just pop it in to watch to figure out if they've made any mistakes, so what influences you outside of that? Usually it's a combination of what movies I personally care about and what movies I think will do well when I talk about them. For instance, if I get an opportunity to talk about Infinity War, I probably will talk about Infinity War, because I know that video will probably do well, plus it's a film I really love. On top of that, I'll also usually do a film if I see loads of people are requesting it. That's why I did Hotel Transylvania and Hotel Transylvania 2. I didn't really personally have any interest in watching those movies, but I like watching new movies, so I'll generally jump on that opportunity if I see a lot of people requesting something. And beyond that, if I can't really decide what to do, I'll generally leave it to a Twitter poll or a Patreon poll. And actually, speaking of Patreon, I do really need to do more of the Patreon requests as well. I've been aiming to get one done a month, but I have been falling a little bit behind on that. The entire answer to this question is just sort of vaguely in the future. I don't know. Thanks Hu Ving leaves 110 Days Until How to Train Your Dragon 3 asks, will you do more gaming sins videos in the future? If so, please do GCN. I despise them greatly. Not as annoying as Brooke Show, but still pretty aggravating. So I get this question quite often, and as far as gaming sins goes, I am planning on doing more. But I'm trying to stick to games I've at least played twice all the way through, and I don't play that many games. On top of that, a lot of the games I do play aren't the kind of games you'd get sins videos for. Like Rocket League and Spore are two games I've got into recently that, yeah, you can't find sins videos for them. On top of that, I only use a PC and an old Xbox 360, so I can't talk about any newer console exclusives. But when a game does come along that I do want to talk about it, I will. I'll just put it in the rotation with all the other videos. Those are all the questions I wanted to cover today. I did get asked quite a lot more, and I will cover them next time. Hopefully within the month, and I'll probably be uploading that video to my other channel, JQnA2. I'll link it on screen. Other than that, this is my second attempt at making a video like this one. I'm still refining the formula and stuff like that, trying to get the pacing exactly right. So please let me know how you felt about this video, if you enjoyed it, if you think it could be a bit faster, a bit slower, whatever. No, I'll probably do a Twitter poll just to get a good feeling of how everyone feels about it. But you know what, I've been speaking for long enough now, so I hope you've enjoyed this. Goodbye.